Have you ever felt like you were meant for something greater, but the world just keeps telling you to wait? If that question hit something deep inside you, then this video was made exactly for you. Welcome to Heaven's Chosen, where the bold rise, the silent roar, and destiny is not whispered but lived out loud. Today you're not just going to watch another video, you're going to remember who you really are. And by the end of this episode, you won't just be inspired. You'll be ready to move, to act, to perform publicly. So sit up, lean in. This one was written with your name on it. Let's begin. There are moments in life when you feel every eye is on you, and that's not by accident. That sensation, that invisible pull toward the center is not anxiety. It's destiny. Most people run from it, but the chosen are designed to stand in it. You feel exposed because you're supposed to be seen. You feel nervous because your soul is activating. And you feel called because you are. You may think you're not ready, but readiness was never the requirement. Obedience is. Those who wait until they feel ready usually die with their greatness buried inside them. The real power comes when you step forward with shaking hands and a steady heart. When you say, "Even if I fail, I will not be silent," that's when the atmosphere shifts. Not because you're perfect, but because you're willing. Think about every great movement, every leader who changed the world. They all had a moment when they had to perform publicly, when they had to declare, show, or demonstrate who they were. And it wasn't in private. It was out loud. That's what separates the chosen from the comfortable. The ones who were sent from the ones who stayed seated. When you finally move, not in fear but in boldness, people will begin to notice something different. Not charisma, not charm, but conviction. A fire that doesn't need validation. And ironically, that's what draws others in. Your unapologetic truth. The world is starving for someone to go first, someone to stand up when everyone else is hiding. That someone is you. Every second you delay, someone else delays their breakthrough. Yes, it's that serious. Your courage has consequences beyond your own life. If you don't act, you might survive, but you'll never ignite. And the worst regret isn't failure. It's knowing you were called to shake the earth. But you chose silence instead. You keep telling yourself you'll start when it's the right time. But the right time is always one brave decision away. People often wait for a sign, a confirmation, some external push. But the truth is, chosen ones are the sign. You're not waiting for the world to approve. You're the one sent to wake it up. The longer you sit still, the louder the internal pressure becomes. That's not anxiety. That's suppressed purpose. When purpose isn't expressed, it becomes pain, and that pain doesn't go away. It just turns into frustration, bitterness, or burnout. The only cure is action. Raw, real, and public action. Many fear being judged, misunderstood, or even mocked. But chosen ones know that ridicule is a sign of movement. If you're not being seen, you're not doing anything worth watching. Performing in public isn't about showing off. It's about stepping into the arena where history is made, where your name begins to carry weight. There's a sacred shift that happens the moment you stop rehearsing and start walking. Doors open. People notice. The universe conspires. The heavens respond. Why? Because heaven doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to motion. Action is proof of faith. And faith is what separates the ordinary from the unstoppable. People won't believe what you say. They will believe what you do, how you walk, and how you handle pressure. When you perform with boldness without explanation, you force the world to reconcile with your truth. Divine purpose isn't something you just feel. It's something that demands display. It needs movement, presence, and visibility. Not for ego, but for alignment. Because when you perform publicly, you're not just showcasing skill. You're activating prophecy. You're stepping into what was already written, and every step confirms you were meant to be seen. Performing in public is a spiritual announcement. It's your way of saying, I'm no longer asking for permission. It's declaring to the world, to your past, to your fears, that you are exactly where you're meant to be. And when a chosen one makes such a move, atmospheres tremble. Because heaven backs those who move without apology. Don't underestimate how much is riding on your obedience. You think you're just taking a risk, but in reality you're breaking a cycle. You're unlocking courage in people who didn't even know they needed it. Your public performance gives others a spiritual mirror. It says, if I can stand in truth, so can you. And this is the truth. Destiny will never demand your perfection, but it will demand your visibility. You can't lead in hiding. You can't inspire behind curtains. Step out, speak loud, walk bold, be seen. Your obedience is the sermon someone's been praying for. Every generation has a few people who were never meant to blend in, and you are one of them. The uncomfortable feeling you get when you try to fit in is a clue. The resistance you feel when you stay silent is confirmation. You weren't made for the background. You were built to shift rooms simply by entering them. Your difference is your divine tool. It's not a flaw. It's not a weakness. It's your weapon. But if you keep hiding it, you'll never tap into the authority you were born with. Chosen ones often battle isolation, not because they're broken, but because they carry something sacred. And sacred things are always hidden, until it's time to be revealed. If you're constantly misunderstood, it's probably because your calling speaks in a language most haven't learned yet. You're not here to be accepted. You're here to be undeniable. When you perform in public, you don't just show talent. You expose legacy. You bring forth what's been sleeping in your bloodline. That's why it feels heavy, because it is. Being chosen means you're called to a higher standard, not for pride, but for purpose. You can't afford to move like everyone else, think like everyone else, or play small just to stay comfortable. You're a signal, a spark, a shift in motion, and if you don't rise, things around you stay stuck. This isn't about popularity. It's about prophecy, about stepping into what was reserved for you before the world even knew your name. And when you finally own that, fully, loudly, boldly, everything changes. The moment you embrace that you were never meant to blend in, you'll stop apologizing and start activating. When you move with boldness, something extraordinary happens. Others begin to wake up. It's not your words that wake them. It's not even your success. It's your audacity. Your refusal to play small becomes a mirror showing them what's possible. You, in motion, give them permission to believe in themselves again. There are people you've never met, watching you in silence, hoping you'll be the first to go. Your act of obedience is a key that unlocks 1,000 locked doors in the minds of those silently struggling. The moment you rise, you ripple. You shift things in the unseen. You activate dreams that have been buried in fear. Your performance isn't just about you. It's spiritual leadership in disguise. You don't need a title to lead, you just need bold action. When you perform without apology, you set an example, not just for peers, but for generations. There are younger eyes watching, silently learning what courage looks like. You'll never fully know the impact of your bravery. A single step in faith can break chains in entire bloodlines. Your motion becomes the momentum others were waiting for. People don't need another perfect influencer. They need a flawed but fearless example. Someone real, someone raw, someone who dares to begin, so don't underestimate what's at stake. When you shrink, you don't just rob yourself, you rob those silently tethered to your breakthrough. But when you rise unapologetically and publicly, you become a living permission slip. You turn fear into fire, silence into sound. That's the power of being seen. Let them look, let them stare, let them talk. That's the point. The chosen weren't meant to blend in, Meikiti. They were meant to disturb the comfort of the crowd. Every glance in your direction is confirmation that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. If they're watching, It means they feel something. Good, let them feel it. Attention is a divine assignment. It's not always about ego. Sometimes it's about exposure. The universe shines a light on those who carry answers. So when you're under the spotlight, don't shrink. Rise. The pressure you feel is not a sign to retreat. It's a sign that you're carrying something worth witnessing. Every time you feel watched, judged, or misunderstood, remember this. Those who carry truth often become targets, not because they're wrong, but because they're undeniable. You weren't sent to please the masses. You were sent to awaken the few who recognize the call. Being seen is uncomfortable but necessary. You cannot impact what you hide from. The world needs to see real power in motion. Not polished, not perfect, but pure. So let them study you. Let them question. Let them misunderstand. They're not supposed to get it. They're supposed to feel it. Visibility is not your enemy. It's your stage. Not for performance, but for purpose. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. Just stand firm, walk loud, and move like someone who knows who sent them. Because the moment you stop fearing the crowd is the moment you start moving the crowd. This isn't a test. This is a declaration, a turning point, a divine announcement wrapped in human action. Too many people live waiting for someone to approve them, to tell them when it's their time. But the chosen don't wait. They declare. And the act of moving boldly isn't just performance, it's prophecy fulfilled in motion. When you finally stop seeking validation and start walking like you've already been sent, everything changes. Heaven doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to certainty. Not the certainty of outcome, but of identity. When you perform in public, you're not asking if you're worthy. You're declaring that you were always called. Declarations aren't made in whispers, they're shouted through action. When you move, when you speak, when you show up, you're not explaining who you are. Not a suggestion, not a test run. A full-body yes to the purpose inside you. Don't just speak it, show it. Don't just believe it, become it. Let your next move be your loudest statement yet. You feel the pressure because the power is real. You know deep down this wasn't random. You were chosen for this. And with that calling comes a weight. The anointing isn't light. It doesn't come to make you feel good. It comes to separate, to stretch, and to set you on fire. Most people treat their gift like a hobby. But the chosen don't have that luxury. You carry something sacred, something heavy, something the world desperately needs but doesn't understand. And if you don't use it, it turns against you. Unused power becomes internal conflict. That's why you feel the war inside. The anointing demands expression. You can't cage fire and expect peace. You've been set apart to move, to speak, to shake the atmosphere. And if you suppress it out of fear or comfort, it will haunt you. Not because it's punishing you, but because it refuses to die quietly inside you. This is why so many chosen ones feel restless, like something is wrong, even when everything looks fine. Because their spirit knows they were meant for more, that they're wasting sacred oxygen trying to blend in. And the only solution is obedience. Immediate, bold, public obedience. So listen carefully. The anointing on your life is real, and it wasn't given to stay hidden. Perform, move, release. Let the weight you carry finally become the breakthrough someone else has been praying for. You weren't called to hold it. You were called to release it. This moment will not return. Not like this. Not with the same fire, the same urgency, the same divine alignment. You can lie to yourself and say, I'll do it later. But later is a thief. Later robs you of miracles that only come with immediate obedience. If you feel it now, it's because now is the time. Opportunities are spiritual windows, and they close. They don't wait for you to be more confident, more ready, more liked. They open in alignment with your purpose, and they expect movement. If you miss it, you don't just miss a chance. You miss transformation. You miss becoming. Every great destiny begins with a moment like this. A crossroads where you either say yes and rise or stay quiet and rot. There's no neutral in calling. You're either stepping into it or shrinking from it. And the longer you delay, the more it costs you. Emotionally, spiritually, even physically. You don't need motivation, you need memory. Remember how long you've been preparing. Remember the fire that won't let you rest. That's not coincidence, that's assignment. And the longer you sit on it, the heavier it gets. Not because it's too big, tas goig, but because it's too real to ignore. So take this moment seriously. It is not just a chance. It is a divine door. You may never feel this level of clarity again. You may never be this close to breakthrough again. What you do next could echo in eternity. Don't walk away, walk through. What if your courage isn't just yours? What if your boldness is the permission someone else has been waiting for? You may not see them, but they're watching. Your act of bravery becomes a living signal to the silent, to the broken, to the ones who forgot their power. When you perform, you awaken. You're not just an individual, you're a chain breaker, a cycle ender, a legacy starter. Your action today will ripple into families you'll never meet, children you'll never hold, generations that will rise because you refuse to stay quiet. That's the impact of obedience in public. People think inspiration comes from speeches, from books, from advice, but the deepest inspiration comes from someone simply being. Someone walking in full authority, full truth, full fire. When people see that, they don't just believe in you. They start believing in themselves again. You don't need a platform to lead. You don't need a microphone to preach. You just need to show up with truth, with raw, untamed, unapologetic purpose. You don't even have to speak. Just stand, just move, just be seen, and watch how many start to breathe again. Let today be the moment you finally step out of hesitation and into your assignment. No more shrinking, no more silence. It's time to let them see. If this message spoke to your spirit, tell me in the comments, what did you feel? What are you ready to do? And to show me you stayed until the end, write this in your comment, Heaven's chosen. Let the world know you're not just watching, you're rising.